Today we're comparing two phones, the Pixel 8 Pro versus the Pixel 9 Pro XL. Look, I get excited for Pixels every single year, but there's usually one or two little things that are off about the device. Last year it happened to be that the phone throttled a lot, it'd get a little bit too warm, the battery life wasn't that great, and a lot of people complained about the modem. And in previous years it was a similar situation, but after the Pixel 6, things got pretty solid. And I feel like this 9 Pro XL is just finally almost perfect. Now, don't take this the wrong way, because I know some people are very anti-Apple, and especially in the Android community, but when you pick up this 9 Pro XL, it feels like an iPhone. And in some ways that's really good. Like, it has that premium heft, you touch the sides, they're very similar. But then when you turn it around, it still looks like a Google phone. Like, you have the visor on the back. The big difference this year though is that it doesn't expand all the way across. It kind of stops somewhere over here. Look, it's a matte device. You touch it, you're not gonna get a lot of fingerprints, but obviously on a black color, you're gonna see them a tiny bit more, but they were able to keep very similar dimensions. Like, it is heavier at 221 grams compared to 213, but the height is a little bit taller because it is using a bigger display. The width is almost identical, but they did manage to decrease the thickness. When you flip the phone to the side, the button placement is identical to before. You have your volume rockers on both sides. I do find the buttons on the new one to be a slightly bit more clicky. And then on the other side, they got rid of the SIM card and they placed it on the bottom of the phone. So instead of having a real speaker and a faux speaker like you did on the Pixel 8 Pro, it's now a speaker and an SD card. One of the biggest changes this year is hands down the front-facing camera. It's still in the middle at the top. It's a little bit bigger just because it is using a bigger sensor. On the previous 8 Pro, it was 10.5 megapixels. Now it's 42, and if you take photos with this front-facing camera, it looks so much better than before. The coloring is kind of similar, but because they're throwing a lot more megapixels behind it, it just looks a lot sharper, a lot cleaner. It finally feels like a front-facing camera that deserves to be on a premium smartphone. All right, right now you're looking at the front-facing cameras of the Pixel 8 Pro and the Pixel 9 Pro XL. The big thing this year is that the Pixel 9 Pro XL camera has been bumped up to 42 megapixels. So most importantly, how does the image look? And yeah, you guys let me know how the microphones sound. The other thing they changed is the display size. Like, this is 6.8 inches now compared to 6.7. And they all did this while keeping very similar dimensions. On top of that, the display just gets brighter. The 8 Pro was 1600 nits SDR, now it's 2000 nits. On peak brightness, it gets bumped up from 2400 nits to 3000 nits. The battery life though has improved, even though it's still technically the same size. Like, we're talking about 50-50 milliamp hours compared to 50-60 milliamp hours. I did find the battery life to be way better on the Pixel 9 Pro XL. I was able to get through the entire day, stop at with like 48% battery life left. I know it only says about 3 hours of screen on time with 48% battery life, but the fact that I can take it off in the charger early in the morning, end the day at 11 o'clock with 48% left is very similar to my iPhone 15 Pro Max. Now, the speaker situation is very similar. It's still using dual speakers. I didn't find the sound quality to be much better. In fact, I was never the biggest fan of the 8 Pro's external speakers. They sound okay, they're not terrible, but I do find the speakers on the 15 Pro Max and the Galaxy S24 Ultra to sound better. The biggest difference, I feel like this new Pro XL has a little bit more depth to it. You guys have a listen and tell me what you think. Now, the new Pixel 9 Pro XL is using a Tensor G4. This is a bump up from the Tensor G3. But look, it's not a massive speed improvement. I'm not seeing a huge performance difference. It still trails behind the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. It still trails way behind Apple's A17 Pro. It's just not a super fast chip. What it is though this year is more efficient. Like, it's just a more efficient chip overall. I find in little things like its stress tests, which was a major complaint in previous Pixel phones, that it just does a better job now. So I put it through a 3D Mark stress test, and when this was looping, the highest the loop would get would be 2500, whereas the previous one was hitting 2400. So it's a little better. It's still taking a beating, and it's nowhere near compared to the 4000 per loop you would get on a Galaxy S24 Ultra, but it is a little bit better compared to the previous year. It is running a tiny bit cooler. The lows are a tiny bit better at 7 frames per second compared to 6, but the frame rate is still topping out at 18 frames per second. Now, software is very similar to the 8 Pro. It's obviously running the latest version of Android. I am running Niagara Launcher on the 8 Pro. I just like the way it looks. It's super clean, but I wanted to leave it stock Android on the 9 Pro XL to give you guys a visual indication of what it looks like. And look, it's fast, it's smooth. I feel like it's faster than the 8 Pro. It just feels a little bit snappier. Obviously, this could be the new phone effect, but it feels good. And if you go into the settings, everything is very similar to what's on the 8 Pro. Just like the 8 Pro, kind reminder that if you go to display and you go to the resolution, it's set to half or high resolution out of the box, which is not as pixel dense as full resolution. So if you want more information on the display and you want things to look a bit crispier, don't forget to change it to full resolution. But the big updates for phones going forward are not so much the hardware anymore. It all comes down to AI now. Everything's AI, right? And that's what Google is known for. And look, there's a bunch of new features that are happening here, and a lot of it is trickling down to the 8 Pro. But the one that truly shocks me and surprises me all the time is Gemini Live. Now look, it's not perfect. It does screw up sometimes. Sometimes it does go quiet. But like when you're having a conversation with it, it works really well. Let's do a little demo. I'm buying a TV. I want it to be the best OLED TV possible, and I want it to showcase the best colors as the filmmaker intended. Which TV should I buy?
If that's the case, you'll want to make sure it has something called filmmaker mode. This setting turns off all the extra processing that TVs do, so you see the movie exactly as the director intended. Also, LED TVs are known for having perfect blacks and really vibrant colors, so you'll probably be happy with that. Now there are a few different brands that make great OLED TVs. Some of the top ones are LG, Sony, and Samsung. They all have their pros and cons, so it really comes down to what features are most important to you. Do you want the absolute best picture quality, or are you also interested in things like gaming?
I want the absolute best picture quality.
Got it. In that case, you might want to look into Sony's A.95L or LG's G4. They're both amazing TVs, and it really comes down to personal preference.
Those are great suggestions, but which one is better? Like, which one is better at upscaling the image? Is it the Sony A95L or the LG G4?
It's a tough call, because they're both excellent TVs. Sony's known for its Bravia XR processor, which does a great job with upscaling, but LG's got its own AI upscaler that's pretty impressive too. Honestly, if upscaling is the most important thing, you might want to find some reviews that compare the two models directly.
I need you to tell me, which one should I buy?
Okay, here's the deal. Both TVs are really good, but if I had to pick one for the absolute best picture quality, I'd say the Sony A95L. It's got a more accurate picture right out of...
Okay, that's fantastic, because the Sony A95L absolutely does have the best color accuracy out of any TV on the market right now, with the LG G4 actually coming in a very close second, as long as you don't buy the 65-inch version. But that's impressive. And then of course it saves everything in text, so you can refer to it later, which I thought was absolutely incredible. Now the other thing they added was screenshots, or pixel screenshots. And basically what happens is every time you take a screenshot, it saves it, and then it organizes it, and you can put it into a collection. So I saved a couple of screenshots here, and it's under my little collection that I can refer to later. And if I do a quick search about something that I need to find, it will automatically go through it all and find it for me. This is kind of like Microsoft's recall feature, but less invasive and more personalized, because you're actually doing the personalization yourself. There's also a couple of other AI features like Add Me, with the ability to basically add yourself to the photo if there's no one else around to take you and the subject together. Now this is kind of cool. Like, it's great if you're traveling alone with your wife or your fiance, whoever it is, and there's no one around to take a photo of both of you. You can add yourself to the picture. Quite frankly, this one is a little gimmicky. Like, I don't know, it looks a little fake, but at the same time, it's kind of cool. But the last one is Pixel Studio, and this one is, I don't know, I'm probably never going to use it, to be quite honest, but it's just basically a generative AI art studio. You can basically go in here, create pictures, create logos, create anything you want by typing a sentence, and then automatically does that for you. But the cameras do remain kind of similar. They're both rocking the same 50 megapixel wide sensor. They're both rocking the same 48 megapixel telephoto lens. The only thing that's new this year is the 48 megapixel ultra wide lens on the 9 Pro XL. Even though it's 48 like the 8 Pro, it's technically a different one, and it does show improvements, but it's not groundbreaking. Everyday photos compared to the 8 Pro pretty much look identical. Like, there's no difference during the day between both devices. Sure, sometimes the 8 Pro looks a little brighter. It just depends on how it registers the white balance. If the sun came out of the clouds during that moment I was taking the picture or not. But during the day, the photos pretty much look identical. Even portrait mode looks pretty much identical. The only time there is a little bit of a difference is with wide shots. The wide lens on the 9 Pro XL is a little better. You don't really see it again during the day, but if you're taking a lot of nighttime shots, which you probably will with these phones, you'll see that the wide lens does perform better on the 9 Pro XL. It just looks cleaner, it looks sharper, there's less like visual impairments. You will notice that both of these devices at night get a little confused with the white balance. Sometimes the 9 Pro ends up looking way too yellow compared to the more cooler tones on the 9 Pro XL, but they kind of do it vice versa. Like, sometimes it's the 8 Pro doing it, other times it's the 9 Pro XL. So it just depends on how the camera registers the photo. But there is also another feature on these new devices. You can do this with the 8 Pro. It's called Video Boost. It basically shoots two videos, one at 1920 by 1080, which has all the color. Then it shoots a separate kind of 4K-ish video that's completely flat, like a flat profile, no color. Then it takes those two videos and uploads it to the cloud so that the video can be processed in 8K. Look, the processing takes a long time. If it's a short little video, it'll be pretty quick, but if it's like a 30-second or 40-second video, it takes a while. Like, I'm still waiting for videos that I shot this morning, and right now it's about 1:30 p.m. in the afternoon. And it does improve it. Like, the colors look the same, but what you really see is better resolution. Everything just looks sharper, you know, especially if you're taking videos of like things that are 5 times away, they will look a lot sharper compared to the original video that you took. Also, if you charge your phone via wire instead of wirelessly, they did bump up the charging speed from 30 watts to 37 watts. So you can charge your phone a little bit faster. Look, here's the thing. This is a very solid phone. It's not perfect. Like, if you're a gamer or you're pushing your phone to its complete potential, I recommend other devices just because it's not the fastest. And of course, it gets a little bit too hot too quickly. But compared to the 8 Pro, it performs better. It stays cooler longer. You get better battery efficiency. Like, if you're coming from a Pixel 5 or a Pixel 6, this is gonna be an amazing upgrade. If you're coming from an 8 Pro, not so much. No year-over-year update is a good upgrade anymore. At the end of the day, they did increase the prices. I expected them to. Most manufacturers have, but they are offering a very compelling package. Just know if you want to take advantage of Gemini Live, you get it free for the first year, then you have to pay after that. And just like the Pixel 8 Pro, you still get 7 years of updates. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section down below. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one.